Hello everyone. Good evening and welcome. My name is Megha Iyer, Associate Editor of EPR magazine, and we welcome you to an interactive session on powering smart cities with green energy. We have my colleague Ms. Akanksha with us today to introduce the panelists and to moderate this session. So delegates, let's sit back and enjoy this special interactive session. I welcome Ms. Akanksha.
Thank you, Megha. The sustainable development of cities largely depends on efficient use and management of energy utilization and reducing transportation emissions. India's announcement that it aims to reach net zero emission by 2070 and meet 50% of its electricity requirements from renewable energy sources by 2030 is a step towards climate change. India is pioneering a new economic development model that could avoid the carbon intensive approaches many countries have pursued in the past and provide a blueprint for other developing economies. Moreover, advanced technologies act as a catalyst to increase efficient applications of connected grid networks and offer uninterrupted power supply. Also, advancements in sectors like lighting, cable and wires, switchgears, cybersecurity, renewable energy sources, and energy storage are expected to play a vital role in powering Indian smart cities with smart electricity in the coming years. On this note, EPR has organized a live interactive power talk on powering smart cities with green energy. Apart from an in-depth discussion on the opportunities from electricity in smart cities, leading industry experts will discuss how green and clean energy solutions and advanced technologies have enabled the industry to revitalize the power sector through various intelligent applications. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and privilege for me to introduce you our today's distinguished speakers. Mr. Akhil Nur Rahman, Chief Technology Officer, Hitachi Energy. Mr. Anil Kadam, Director, Schneider Electric. Mr. Manohar Singh, Assistant Vice President, Digital Power and Utilities, Ernst & Young LLP.
So I would like to understand from you is how is this sustainable shift also impacting the per capita power consumption of India?
With this, I think it's also sort of bottom-up kind of approach where each consumer in future going to be, as I said, prosumer, because people having rooftop solar, they can also sell energy to the grid. So there will be accountability in the system in terms of each consumer, whether you are individual consumer or industrial consumer or infrastructure consumer. So you will be able to monitor your energy demand, energy consumption, and using the sensors, the AI, ML technologies, you will be able to analyze and minimize the use of energy. So basically, reducing the waste, the loss of energy. At the same time, monetize it, because gone are the days when we had the energy meter somewhere in the corner where you will not be able to reach. You will not know how fast it is moving, the ring, the energy meter ring. But so in future, which is already started with smart meter technology, so it is on your hand. You can look at it, where you are consuming more, when you are consuming more, and when you can also use the energy. When in future it is going to be time of the day metering, for example, so you can accordingly plan for your major load consuming activities during that period. So we are definitely seeing that because of the automation and digitalization, consumers will be able to see, monitor, and reduce and optimize the energy consumption. At the same time, produce energy, store energy in an optimum way, so that they can also monetize and gain. There are prosumers who are also gaining more than what they pay for the energy with this system. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. It's true that consumers are becoming prosumers today, which is a good step towards total electrification. Sir, another thing I wanted to ask is that you also spoke about cloud computing and SCADA technologies. So what will be the possible implications of these technologies in IoT-enabled digital systems in the areas when we talk about critical geographies, especially in context of smart cities?
So there are two things here. When we talk about the conventional automation system, SCADA, energy management system, as well as protection system, protection and control system. So they are going to be secured system, with our core technologies. When it comes to digitalization, so it's an extension of the core system. So it's not a replacement. Whether we talk about IoT, cloud computing, it's an extension of the system, so that we can get the data about the asset, about the process, in addition to what is happening automatically in the SCADA, in the EMS. So with that, we have seen that we are able to monitor the asset performance and predict the malfunction or failure of the assets, whether it's a transformer or distribution feeder or switchgear substation, or even communication system. So we are able to predict that in advance so that you can plan for the maintenance. So you don't have to have the surprise tripping of the circuit and then you have some areas going into the blackout mode. And so that is how I think it's going to play a complementing role. The digitalization, the IoT is going to play a complementary role to the conventional, the core automation and SCADA system. And so this we are seeing, there are many examples of very objectively we are getting benefit out of. So the utilities, the discoms, the infrastructure providers in the city, as well as consumers, they are going to see that. As I said, it's all about having the real-time monitoring, the data available to you in real-time basis, so which is going to be there. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for addressing that. Also, it would also require a very strong cyber-critical power infrastructure with all these. So, how well are we doing at present?
So cyber physical system as well as cyber security is very important. I think last year, Ministry of Power, they have come up with the directive on the cyber security. So what we have to look at the cyber security is that it is the responsibility, roles and responsibilities of all. It is not just the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturer, or OEMs like us, technology providers like Schneider or Siemens or Hitachi Energy. It's also important how the utilities, they are going to take over the system once we install something and then hand it over to them. They should continue the operation in a secured way, having the policies, procedures for doing the assessment of the system, having the backup recovery of the system, updating the antivirus software, updating the software with patches which is coming from the OEM, and of course putting the intrusion detection system. So as OEM, so Mr. Anil Kadam, he'll also probably talk about, as OEM, we do design, we do develop and manufacture our products in a secured way. We do follow the standards, industry standards, international standards. But that is not sufficient, because that is just making the product and system secure when we hand over the system to the OEM, the utilities operation and maintenance, agencies, basically utilities industries. But they also have to continue with that. They have to follow the same process advisory what we provide. So that's very important. So it's a life cycle approach. It's not just one time you make it secure, it will run in a secured way. So that's why it's very important that everybody has to work. Even small accessory MSMEs who are providing critical equipment or accessories going into the system, they also have to be on board. They have to be onboarded. They have to be also getting help from the utilities to address the cyber security, because of course there is a cost element to it, which everybody should realize, including the operators, owners, operators of the system, because that's important. Unless you really put effort to have very objectively done the way it is done in IS. See, for example, today ERP, the information system in enterprise, there is always the backup recovery process. There is a policy procedure, software update, patch update, and assessment done on a very regular basis as part of the service level agreement with the IS infrastructure provider. The same thing has to be done in the power, the energy infrastructure also. Yeah.
Mr. Anil, I would like to start with you. You very well detailed the presentation about the power sector scenario and the grid security. So I wanted to understand that how are we performing in encrypting the cyber critical norms to ensure a 24/7 power supply, especially when we talk about smart cities.
Smart cities is a new concept in India. Grid has been there from time immemorial. I can use that word. What we have done in smart cities today is trying to make it more and more strengthened, reliable, and now we need to bring a concept of resilience. Now, what does resiliency mean is, come what may, it will not fail. People are there to attack, or maybe there are mistakes happening. So resiliency is a function of many things. One is, of course, straight is cyber security of digital systems. Another is resiliency is also means how much redundancy you have, what kind of fail-safe systems do you have, which can come in place for your rescue when such eventuality happens. Right now, you use the word encryption, correct? Now, in power sector, before digitization started, when we were in conventional electromechanical era, and I mean, I'm talking of 20, 30 years back, 20, 25 years back, or 30 years back, when the digitization started, people wanted interoperability. That means I don't want the same OEM system to be locked with me. Multiple OEM systems should talk to each other. So, no proprietary communication protocols. I need open communication protocols. So then came protocols like IEC 103, protection relays, IEC 101, 104 for network automation, etc., etc. People wanted more ease of integration. People wanted more abstraction. And then protocols like IEC 61850, enterprise service bus, SIM model, Manohar spoke about SIM model, all that started coming in. Now, when the protocol or the data model, the whole intent was interoperability, ease of use, ease of maintenance. Nobody was talking of cybersecurity then. We had not seen so much problems there. Now, all of a sudden, in few years, last maybe 10 years, we are seeing threats coming in the form of maybe attack or ransomware. See, one thing you have to understand, in IT world, cyber security means what? Your confidentiality is more important than availability. If your banking system is down for 1 hour, 5 hours, 10 hours, doesn't matter, you'll do the transaction tomorrow. But if your confidentiality of the data is lost, you may lose money, you may lose a lot of things, trust. If you come in the OT world, I don't care if my smart meter data or my switchgear data is lost to somebody, it means hardly anything to other person. Let it go, even if it goes. But my network should not be down. So therefore, availability is important in OT compared to IT. Here it's confidentiality, here it is available. Now, story what I told you about open interoperability, everybody understands what's the communication protocol between a relay and a gateway, or a meter and a gateway, because the standard is open and it was meant for interoperability. Here comes the problem. A cyber attacker is more intelligent person. It could be an individual or it could be an organization. Sometimes it could be state sponsored. He will also have access to the standard communication. So he will understand IEC 104 frame format, a 6180 frame format, or even a DLMS frame format. So you can construct an anti-frame format and leave it on the network so that it will go next. That's a problem. Therefore, to secure the network with open protocol, you need encryption. Now, what is the level of encryption you would want to do is time to answer. Do you want to do encryption between the equipment and the software within the same system? Then you'll have to geoparadize the speed, because these are all OT systems, real time. You see? So therefore, there has to be proper architectures, tested, validated, documented, which has to be produced, or sometimes called as reference architectures, to say what is the level of encryption to be put inside a substation or the OT system and outside the substation or outside the network. Therefore, encryption is definitely needed. We need to be easy in integration during commissioning, but very difficult to break in the operations. Therefore, let's see what kind of encryptions will evolve. We are still in the very, very nascent stage in the OT world. I'll only say that we'll have more and more sophisticated encryption technologies coming in.
Thank you so much, sir, Anil, sir, for sharing such insightful details on this question. There is one question from our delegate, Mr. Anil Firake. His question is that in present context, energy consumption in India are not having facilities to change their energy supplier, as the design of owners of our network stakeholders is not modular, like in European nations, where there is separate DSO, DNO, map suppliers, and etc. So do you think that India can adopt that model? And if yes, what would be the key triggers to this shift?
We have some 87 distribution companies are there operating in different regions, right? They're all called distribution license. Most of them are government owned, state government owned. So the content and the carriage all belong to that particular entity, right? Now, in that scenario, there is no option for a consumer. So I am with that same that distribution network operator who's also a retailer, okay? Only and only when there is separation of carriage and content, and when content can be supplied by many suppliers on the same carriage, would there be a provision for a consumer to change the supplier, which is there in the maybe in European or US other countries. Some sort of that you can see in Mumbai. You have Reliance, you have Adani now, you have Tata Power. You may have to do a little bit of transactions back and forth, but you can switch between Reliance and Adani in Mumbai. It's not possible in any other place in India. But with the Amendment of Electricity Act, which is actually tabled and it is going through a lot of deliberations and discussions, we may see that. Now, coming to the technical system, you need what is happening in telecom will happen in electricity. You have the same spectrum. You have so many people, Vodafone, Jio, Idea, everybody trying to share it. So you have number portability, right? So it's the same philosophy which is going to apply in electricity as well. Only thing is, first the policy, the regulatory framework has to enable, and then technical systems will take over to make it happen. And it's already always a positive. But in India, it's still a little long way to go.
Thank you so much, and Mr. Anil, for addressing that. I'm sure Mr. Chetan is satisfied with this feedback, with this explanation. Mr. Manohar, coming to you, what is the possible financial viability of smart metering initiatives for DISCOMs, especially when we are aiming at Power for All mission?
Megha, if we talk about financial viability, so definitely there is already funding or grant from Ministry of Power, which each of these utilities are already leveraging. So there will be two components. One component will be for onboarding of PM. That second portion will cover onboarding and end-to-end implementation of smart metering. Then on top of it, when we talk about reducing ACR and ARR gaps, so we believe that overall smart metering implementation will help in reducing that gap. Further, when we talk about improving our operational efficiency in terms of less paper, all bills will be digitized. There will be less field visits required due to smart meters. There will be lot of data or already coming on real-time basis, or end of bill data will be on digital manner. So there will be lot of operational efficiency which will help DISCOMs in further improving their financial health. And finally, if we talk about there are whatever gaps in there of whatever energy input to end consumers and what is the final bills or revenue DISCOMs are currently able to generate. That also will subsequently improve. If we see one of the case studies of Bihar, in particular divisions where 90% smart meters were fully there. So they saw surge in revenue realization also and billing efficiency also. So in a particular division, if I correctly remember, there was improvement from 60% billing efficiency to 100% almost. And similarly, revenue realization was into same manner, 30-40% revenue realization was increased due to smart metering. So overall, I believe if holistically smart meters is properly implemented, then those benefits can be leveraged across utility and across country also. So everybody will be able to reap those benefits going forward. Yeah. Megha, you are on mute.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Manohar, for addressing that precisely. Also, what kind of investments are expected or do you expect to happen in this particular segment to enhance its contribution towards safety also in our energy infrastructure?
Megha, if we talk about investment, so definitely we talked about cybersecurity. That will be essential for this also, because smart meters are sending data on real time. And if somebody is able to penetrate smart meters, because it is two-way communication is already there with smart meters, then that particular threat can travel from smart meters to our OT side or IT side of software, and it can impact us holistically. So there can be a situation where we are not able to generate bills. There can be a situation where data sensitivity related to customers, etc., is compromised. So those challenges or investment related to cybersecurity definitely will be one of the priorities. Secondly, more sort of process standardization, which Mr. Anil also highlighted. Those are essential for smart metering also. Apart from this, there will be an importance of data analytics, which will play a key role in, especially once smart meters are properly implemented, hydrogen system and MDMS AMI backbone is there. Then data and insights from that data, real-time data which we are getting from smart meters. That side, we need to focus more to get proper insights from it, to leverage the right we talk about data monetization. So we have to think about all these points also going forward whenever we are implementing smart meters. So those will play important role. Apart from that, there will be important considerations in terms of quality of installation. So when we talk about quality of installation, then there are meters, smart meters. Then we have to obviously focus on quality of smart meters. Then all meter manufacturer has to focus more on the quality side of that. Obviously, there are already governing bodies who are monitoring the quality of those smart meters. Then one of the most important aspects would be communication infrastructure, because if meters are there and they are not communicating, it will be a dumb meter. It won't be a smart meter anymore. So we need to focus more on establishing, communication infrastructure in place. We need to ensure that there are proper fallback options are there whenever there are, NB-IoT, 3G, 4G. Then fallback options accordingly should be envisaged in going forward. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Manohar, for explaining that to us. We are almost in the end of the session. Can I request Mr. Anil to make a closing statement for today's session?
Thank you very much, Megha. We started with cities. We saw all the technologies which will enable the city in electrical infrastructure green. We spoke a lot about the digital applications which are next generation. Today, what you see in B2C will happen in utility space and smart city space. A lot of new stakeholders. And then how do you connect all the stakeholders in a smart grid, in a smart cities through smart metering system, which is the gateway. And we also spoke about, how do you actually secure your digital systems so that you are more and more resilient and you're more and more reliable, and you can integrate your green energy towards a sustainable city, sustainable country, and sustainable. So I think in overall, we went, starting from stating the problem statement all the way till the answers. And there is the answer in the digitization, bringing stakeholders together, enabling policies and process. And of course, on top of all this, it is the enabling policy framework, which is really, moving fast in our country. Manohar said it. We have Ministry of Power being very active to promote this digitization and smartness in our. I think the future is bright here as far as our cities and electrical infrastructure is concerned. Looking forward, we will see more and more sustainable networks in India, and that's the summarization.
Thank you, Mr. Anil. That was very optimistic view of yours. We are looking forward to sustainable, smart energy infrastructure. So there is one question from Mr. Balu in our Q&A box that he's want to understand is what would be the practical challenges faced by the utilities to adopt advanced systems?
First practical challenge is technical upskilling and retention of people. It's about change management. We are investing into electric utilities from long for digitization. It started from maybe a small started from drum project, if everybody remembers. Then APDRP, that became RAPDRP. Now we are talking of RDSs. Maybe more such schemes may come in the future. We have infused a lot of money, for strengthening and for digitization. But did we really see those digitized systems are created as a practice in the utility? And did we work towards change management of people so that people started adapting digital the way they would adapt in their day-to-day, B2C consumer? I can see my grandmother, my mother who are never digitally educated, but they use WhatsApp or any other digital systems at ease. They use Amazon or any of the Flipkarts of the world. They know exactly what to do, and they do multiple transactions on that. Now, digital systems have to be intuitive, very, very important. And we'll have to bring that in the upskilling program in a very innovative way and attract talent, more new young talent into the system so that we continue using it. This is something which is not yet very strongly proliferated, I should say, in the utility space. Hopefully, we'll have programs going further to do that. But definitely, people are at the center of anything and everything of digital systems. And it is just not the conventional OT system. It is IIoT. It's IoT. You have the turnaround system happening, so it's very, very important. People.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anil. We have even many more questions in our Q&A box today, but we are unable to address it. We are sorry for that. Please, you can email us the questions at editor@eprmagazine.com. Mr. Manohar, can I request you to make a closing statement for today's session, please?
And first of all, Megha, thank you so much for inviting me to this session. And it was a great, experience for me hearing from Mr. Anil also, Mr. Rahman also. And overall, Mr. Anil rightly highlighted that change management and upskilling is one of the key focus area which, holistically we should address. If you talk about smart metering also, then upskilling will be essential because these different sort of IT systems are traditionally utilities are not, accustomed to all these systems. So having change management, REC has already rolled out, change management initiatives across DISCOMs for smart metering. So that will be very essential. And I hope that smart metering holistically will help in reducing overall challenges in current distribution sector, especially related to AT&C losses, ACR and ARR gap. So very pertinent technology, and I hope that these technologies will be able to bring utility sector on track. And I also, as Mr. Anil highlighted, future is bright, and as all power sector professionals, we also, collectively we have to give whatever best we can give to sector to achieve all these objectives.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manohar, for your precise closing statement. I request Ms. Akanksha to come in and make a closing note for today's session.
Thank you, Megha. Thank you, panelists, for sharing your valuable thoughts on powering smart cities with green energy. We hope you all have enjoyed the session. Before wrapping up the session, I would like to thank our distinguished panelists, Mr. Akhilur Rahman, Mr. Anil Kadam, and Mr. Manohar Singh. I would also like to thank Ms. Megha Iyer, our editor, for taking up this initiative. You can follow our social media pages to get more updates from EPR magazine. Also, our application is available on Google Play and App Store for enhanced reading. With this note, we would like to announce the closing of today's session. I request you all to stay tuned for such more sessions. Thank you so much.